welcome everybody to Season 2 of The Top Shelf. This is Episode 5, and we are playing Tiny Tome, or rather, we're going over Tiny Tome, but Tiny Tome, this delightful little book here, is a collection of 50 single-page RPGs, of which we have authors for 2 of those RPGs, and we'll chat about what those are at the end. But it is put together by Longtail Games, and they were so kind enough to send me an advance copy to look over. So we're going to chat about it. They've got 8 days left in the Kickstarter, and we want to, rave about it a little bit because we've all been taking a look at it, and because there were so many games to pick, I could not tell you what would be the best to pick. So out of 10 that would work for this group, because some of them are solo RPGs, GM-less RPGs, which are a little bit more abstract than work on stream. Some of them use atypical materials as opposed to like dice or cards. So there are some that were omitted from that list, but I picked 10. We rolled them in right before the game or this show began, and we are playing Numbskulls. Which is a spectacular little hijinks game about skeletons on errands for their necromancer master. But before we explain anything further, let's go ahead and introduce everybody. We'll start with our 2 returning players. Nif, do you want to kick us off? It's been a little while.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Nifer. You can find me everywhere at Nifer, and I am playing Captain Jack Marrow tonight. We all went with skeleton puns, and they're lovely. I'm so excited. Do you want us to, introduce kind of our stats about the game? Because there's a little bit of function here. What would you like?
So you could describe how the stats pertain to your what your character's specializing in. The mechanics themselves, I don't think, are as important to explain. But yeah, tell us a little bit about the skeleton, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so there are kind of 3 categories that you can be good at as a skeleton in Numbskulls, which is physical, magical, and social. And I decided to just mainline magical and not be good at anything else, which I think is probably on brand, given that I think that Captain Jack Marrow kind of started as like a high school science skeleton and just kind of wandered off one day. And found a job and is kind of living through life. Awkward, not living. Yep, that.
Perfect.
And yeah, one more thing. What are we drinking tonight, Mads?
What are we drinking?
Well... Do you want to go first or me? Because we both are ready.
I was unclear. I thought you were asking me. So I am drinking strawberry citrus sparkling ice.
Amazing.
It's caffeinated.
I'm drinking Pedialyte, not caffeinated. We're doing great here.
But you reminded me of a thing that I haven't done in 2 episodes now, so thank you.
You've forgotten to ask what we're drinking?
I have. Megs, or Megan, what about yourself?
Hey, howdy ho and hi, my name's Megan, or RPG Bags, on all the platforms that matter. TT RPG enthusiast, GM, and in my off time, I work in the video games industry. Howdy. And what I'm on tonight is Wimbledon Spritz, non-alcoholic. I'll be playing Patricia Patella. Lovely little lass. She's also a project manager. But we'll see how she holds it all together, given that she's a little bit magical, a little bit social, but not really physical. Expecting things to just fall out.
Perfect. Thank you. And then, actually, I have to keep it going now. What are we drinking?
Oh, I mentioned it before. I might have spoken a little too softly. Wimbledon Spritz, non-alcoholic cocktail.
Wimbledon Spritz. Interesting. I'm going to have to look it up now just because of the name. But appreciate it. Doreen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Doreen. I go professionally by Edaureen Mohammed Noor, but nobody calls me that, not even my parents. So it's Doreen. to everyone. My social media handle is usually Dvaleris, Dvaleris, everywhere except for Instagram, where some random person took the handle that I created in college and decided to use it for herself. There, I'm Dvaleris, actual. I'm a big Battlestar Galactica fan. My skeleton today is named Skelly Clarkson. I don't think she really understands that she's dead. She's quite recently turned. So she's got quite a bit of social skills and physical, but very much less so in the magical realm. I am drinking a Constant Comment, hot, though a little less than hot right now, tea.
Delightful. I love tea here. And Mitchell.
Yeah, I'm Mitchell Daly, and I am one of the designers in Tiny Tome. And today, he, him, and today I'm going to be playing Jerry Speinfeld, who is made of too few bones, adult bones, but too few. So his look is that of a child, but very physical. Fewer weak points in the joints, so very physically capable. This child-looking. Not quite child-looking, but trying skeleton here. And yeah, I'm drinking Tezo peppermint tea.
Delightful. 2 teas. I should have made some. I was craving a London fog earlier today. But once again, I am Mads, your host for the evening. I'm here until the end of time. I will probably continue doing the top shelf. But for our session tonight, before we start talking about Tiny Tome and the various games that are within it, it is a blood moon tonight, perfect for the ritual offerings of the necromancer to the death god that they worship. And unfortunately, they are missing ingredients for this ritual, components that are necessary to complete it by the end of the blood moon this evening. The current running theory is one of the roaming oozes which keeps the lair's floors spotless and inadvertently consumed them. But, regardless, we need the components. The trouble, it's Mother's Day weekend, and the public is rushing to find gifts for their family. The streets are packed, people are in most of the shops that you are looking to obtain things from, and as skeletons, you're going to have to be a little sneaky about how you go about it. You are looking for 3 items in order to make this ritual go off without a hitch. First is we need candles for the ritual, and we also need strong coffee. The necromancer needs to be awake and functional, so please bring him his regular order. And we need Madonna lilies specifically, which is unfortunate that Mother's Day happened to line up because florists are having a hell of a time. But you are provided through the illusionary gate under the overpass on the west side of the city, a small old Honda Civic in which you are able to get to a mall downtown, which should have everything that you need within it. You are also provided ample funds to be able to purchase these items, provided you do not lose it, of course. Hopefully one of you has pockets. And then from there, it's up to you to make sure that this happens, and you can return these by this evening so that the necromancer has time to prep. What are we up to, folks?
All right, well, I volunteer to have pockets because I was a high school science skeleton, so I have a lab coat. So I'll be pockets. That's all I can be trusted with.
Done and done. So Captain Jack Merrill's got the money.
Okay, I have the wallet, y'all. And probably the car keys, I guess. All right.
Yeah, they won't. It would draw suspicion if I was driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
Candles, strong coffee, Madonna lilies. Let's go.
Ooh, I call shotgun.
Okay.
I fiddle with the radio, looking for something appropriate.
I make sure all seatbelts are on. Safety first. I
Okay.
was raised in a lab.
Spectacular. So
Smart.
everybody heads off towards the mall. Once again, the streets are packed, and you find yourself fairly quickly wedged in State Street traffic. You've been reduced down to about 25 miles an hour for 25 minutes worth of this journey, until you reach a point where the intersection is completely closed off that you need to get through to get to the mall, because of an accident that occurred, and two fathers currently fighting over the state of affairs of both of their vehicles and the nature of the gifts that have most assuredly been dashed across the pavement. As you approach this, the fire trucks and emergency response vehicles kind of crowd the area to a point where you just watched the last couple cars go before the light, or before the police officer kind of waved you guys to halt, and now there's no way through at all, and you have been stuck at the edge of this intersection. The mall is about 2 blocks off. You have options, but what are you guys doing?
Well, we can't just abandon the car, can we? Can we?
I mean, I think we could. You know, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I mean, if we lock it and I take the keys, what could happen? Right?
It's like they'll
No
give us a
one would
ticket.
just-
Cares.
No one would just walk up and take a car.
As long as it's locked. I mean, no
Right.
offense, but this car isn't exactly the kind of thing that people would probably want to steal.
Honda, we're so sorry.
You're a good car.
It's a classic.
So let's try and like pull off to the side a little bit and then
Okay.
walk to the mall.
Okay.
And hopefully it'll still be here when we get back so that we can take it back.
Okay.
'Kay.
So,
I roll up all the windows,
perfect.
lock all the windows.
I need you to be able to really finesse your driving skills here, Captain Jack.
Oh,
Go ahead and roll physical for me.
okay. I rolled a 1 and a 5, which is total of 6, which is super spooky on my track.
Correct. So mechanically, there are 3 options for success or failure here. Rolling under your goals in this game means that you end up more skeletal in your behaviors than you should, and people might start to suspect. Rolling the proper range lets you skirt by without being noticed, and rolling above, you're acting too human, that people are intrigued and enchanted by this new person that they're interacting with, and you may gain unwanted attention in the positive edge of things. But you rolled super spooky. So as much as
Great.
finagling this car through traffic to get to the edge to manage to pull off into the parking lot of a Staples on this intersection, you end up going.
My head just turns all the way around
Yep.
too often. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're checking your rear views like you're supposed to, but you're doing it in full 360 motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the passerbys on the road, or on the sidewalk, who's just kind of been at this point ogling the accident, catches this, and you see his eyes go wide at this whole process as you park. And by the time you've got the windows rolled up and are out of the car, you can see this individual, because you were looking around pretty rapidly, over fairly aggressively trying to convince the police officers at the accident that something else is more pressing.
I don't know why this would be more pressing, but that's your opinion, man. Okay, well, we're out of the car.
Okay.
We've parked.
Are you proceeding unabated then, based on that response?
I think I have a skateboard. I mean, I'm just making that up right now, but I think
Just
that
go in the trunk,
that fits.
yeah.
I'll allow it.
got-
Yeah.
Right.
I got
Yeah.
a skateboard, so we might. I know I can get away quickly. Maybe we could like multiply it if more people want to skate away, or you could. I don't know.
Yeah, how many skateboards can we fit in a Honda Civic?
I'm gonna say, let's make this more interesting. One
Oh,
of
no.
you gets a skateboard, but you're all allowed a wheeled vehicle to fit in the trunk. So who's on the scooter, who's on the roller skates, that sort of thing. But yes, I'll give you all some wheels.
Excellent.
So are you, as I understand then, are you parking the car, seeing this, and then just trying to get to the mall as quick as possible on these more manual wheels of yours?
It looks like we have time to get away quickly without.
Yeah, and the cop
Whereas-
doesn't seem particularly interested at this point, but that guy doesn't seem to be leaving.
We should just be swift about leaving so that he forgets about us.
Okay. Car is locked, and you all...
I could throw him in the trunk. If we don't know I'm causing trouble, I could
Yeah,
probably.
but, like,
I could probably get him in
We've
there.
just started. We've just started, my guy.
Oh.
Okay.
Just-
Okay.
Get on your skateboard.
Okay.
Yeah. Patricia's going to get her heelys on. she's in. Yep. She's in a business suit. She's got like big glasses. She's got this big, like, really important looking bag and heelys.
I love it. A spectacular image. I'm curious. Captain Jack and Skelly, what are you guys riding away on?
I will strap on a pair of rollerblades that more or less go with my yoga pants, my oversized sweater, my huge sunglasses, and I was gonna wear Uggs, but I guess I'll just carry them now.
Fair enough.
And Captain Jack Marrow is obviously on one of those LED hoverboards. Just zoom in.
All right. Fair enough.
Glow in the dark, man.
Glow in the dark.
That's where it's at.
So, all four of you ride off to the mall. Unabated at this point, you can still cross traffic by foot. You make it to the mall, and now you are all caught with a quandary. You know the address to the mall, but you have no idea what stores are inside or how to navigate it. And as you kind of walk into the space, it is very busy.
Should we find a map? One of
Yeah,
those kiosks with the little paper maps?
I got this. I was a project manager for a while, at a different store. It was fine. I'll find it. It's fine. Waves her hands, stomps over to a map, looking very self-important, trying to find out what's going on.
Okay. So the three stores, just for full narrative's sake, are on the three different corners, three completely opposite sections of this particular mall. The food court sits right in the center plaza of this mall, and all intersections cross that space. There's a number of other stores that may interest you, but being two more recent skeletons, you would probably have a knowledge of the stores that would benefit you most for collecting candles and flowers and coffee.
Mm-hmm.
We should probably do the candles first because, he'll probably want his coffee hot. And just in case the flowers the fresher the better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, which candle store do you want to go to?
Oh my gosh. There was this one candle store that I went to. It was called Bath, Bed, and Bombs. And yeah, it was just the cutest place. Really enjoyed it. It had amazing cinnamon candles. I think we should go there.
Let's do it. Ooh, cinnamon candles. Do you think our Steve will care about what kind of candles we get him? Like,
He's very particular about his coffee and his flowers.
So I just think we just need to pick out something nice. You know, just
Ooh.
like a couple of little options. He's had a very stressful week. Let's just, pamper him. Show our appreciation.
Lavender. I think he needs lavender.
I was gonna say
my
lavender would
gosh.
probably go well with the lilies.
Oh my gosh, I love that you're here. Yes.
As a note, the necromancer, prior to having you all leave, did mention, while he did not mention a specific kind of candle, he needs 12 identical candles.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, you head off to Bed Bath & Bombs, and this is probably the most men that this store ever sees, but it is a whole bunch of people shopping for candles and bath bombs. And there's a pretty decent selection, but you can tell right away that the shelves are starting to whittle down. And as you approach their signature lavender line, if you're looking at them, you can go for lavender, but there are 9 on the shelf right now. And as one individual white guy, shorter blonde hair, kind of receding hairline, cargo shorts, and white sneakers, very, very typical barbecue dad, is walking away with the 3 that you need to complete the collection of lavender candles, if that is the direction you choose to go.
Steve, you guys, do we want to fight that guy for those candles, or do you just want to take like 12 of what's left and try and
It's fine. They always have
DL?
something in the back.
No.
No, they
I'm a
do. They
little bit-
always do.
I think that's a myth.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh.
They always say that, but in any case, they need to be identical. So I think we're gonna have to tag team here. So I think one of you are gonna have to go and get the remaining 9, and I'll do the intercept on whoever else wants to come with me on cargo fail.
I'll come.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll grab the 9 and I'll camp over here and make sure that nobody else takes them.
Okay.
Awesome.
And starts like grabbing. Oh, I grab a basket and then I put things in the basket.
Good call.
I'm civilized.
Smart.
Oh my
Smart.
gosh, look at you, so organized. I'm so happy for you. I love this.
I'm good at shopping.
Yeah.
I almost asked for a roll, but I'll allow your own correction to affix that. So,
Thank you.
Jerry and Patricia, what are you doing about cargo fail?
I think I'm gonna pull the a sad kid who needs the candles for his mom. So I'm gonna skip.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you need assistance with that? Do you need an emphasis on that kid sort of way up there?
Yeah, I think. We're all already skeletons, so you might be perfect for the part already. I'm gonna scamper over to Mister, doesn't have a kid's voice, Mister, and tug on his
Okay.
shirt.
The dad there is gonna look down at you, just be like, "Oh, what do you need, champ?"
My mom is sick, and their favorite scent is lavender, and you took them.
And he's gonna
Look how
look.
sick my mom looks.
He's gonna be like,
Yep.
Are you pulling Christmas shoes right now?
he
Yeah.
I love this.
he looks at you and he says, "Well, oh, little buddy, there's only 3 of them. There's a whole bunch more over on that shelf." And he looks over, and he sees the 9 currently being shoveled into a basket. And he's trying to make a decision in his head about whether or not he's gonna go make a fuss at the person taking the whole rack, or if he's gonna share his. I would like you to roll social for me, Jerry.
Yeah,
And-
my worst stat.
And I will allow you, because you are... I take it you're directly gesturing to Patricia as the sick mother.
Yes.
Okay. I will allow that. Skeletons generally have the emaciated kind of thing going on. So if you need to re-roll one of your dice, you may, but you have to take the new roll for it.
All right. Ooh, that's a 10.
Okay, too high?
Hey, that's too high. Yep. So I am superhuman.
Okay. So this kid has warmed the heart of this dad, and he looks at you, and he looks back over at Skelly Clarkson with all of the candles, and he looks at you and he says, "You know what? Yeah, you go ahead. These were for my mom anyway. I was gonna have to ship them out. I can just tell her that it was delayed. I'll get some more." And he hands you the 3 candles. And then he goes, "Where's your dad? Is it just you and your mom now?"
Just me and my mom. That's right. Okay,
Oh,
bye.
Well, no, it's okay. Let me walk you back over to her. And this dad, for whatever reason, has been so taken by this ruse that he walks little Jerry Speinfeld back to Patricia Patella, and then looks at Patricia Patella with simultaneously the most like condolence eyes, but also like intrigued by just the niceness of this kid, and he says to you, he's like, "Wow, you've got a good one here. He's really trying for you. You must have raised him right. Shame there's not a dad in the picture."
Oh, well, it's just been so hard. You're right. Little Jerry, he is real special.
And she's gonna like reach out with like her big bag and big sunglasses and just kind of corral Jerry closer and like look this man up and down.
So, thank you. We just been through a lot.
No, you're very welcome. Of course. I don't know if this is too forward. Mother's Day is such a weird time, but do you want to like see a movie, or I do
I'll never call
barbecues
you
every
Dad.
weekend.
Oh, you got a barbecue?
Absolutely.
You got the
Best
spare
in the
ribs?
neighborhood. The
My
brisket's better
goodness.
than the ribs, but I make a mean version of both.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Well, oh goodness.
And she like pats herself down and reaches into her bag and like pulls out like this notepad. It's got stickers on the front. And she hands it over.
Please, your number. I'm so sorry. I've been so distracted lately. I didn't pick up my phone. I know it's heinous, but if you could
Okay,
add your number.
go ahead and roll social for me.
Okay. Cool. I'll be rolling this digitally, so I'll let you know how that goes. Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll be in. Just.
So that's just a straight success.
Mhm.
Perfect. So you reach the notepad out to him, and he takes it with the pen, and you manage to kind of withdraw your hand just before he makes contact with it, and realizes that you are Skelly, and writes down his name and phone number and address.
Oh
And
my
then
goodness,
you can see
what's his name?
his name's Philip.
Oh, thank you, Phil.
And he kind of smiles and he hands it back, and you can see on the bottom of it he's got like because he's got his address, and then he's like, barbecues every Saturday 7 p.m. sharp.
Yeah. And she kind of like looks at him, looks down at the pad, looks back at him, flips it over.
Thank you. You're a lifesaver.
And very, very quickly ushers Jerry away.
Completely not taking the cue. This guy's like, "Oh no, my pleasure. Hope to see you sometime." And like
Yeah.
kind of sits in the moment for a minute before he goes his separate ways. But you guys have your 12 candles. You still have to check out. Who's checking out?
I have the wallet.
Go for it, Mr. Moneyback.
So we can
I
do
believe
this.
Okay,
Go for it.
So,
All right.
I will help carry the basket.
Yeah,
forward.
you have the basket of 9. We have the 3. That's 12. We can do this. Yeah.
okay.
We got this.
Yeah.
Skelly, did you...
You want me to do the talking?
I was... No.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Pff, I got this.
I mean, I'm here for you.
We're all here for each other. We're a good team.
We're all here for Steve.
We are all here for Steve. We are doing this for Steve.
And you hear the cashier go, next.
Oh, that's us. Okay, let's go. Bring the basket.
Okay. You bring all 12 candles up to
Yep.
the cashier. Like a 17-year-old. This is high school job for him.
Amazing.
A very well manicured kid, but he starts ringing them up and he goes, all right, that'll be, oh god, how much do candles cost? That's 12 candles. That'll be like $148.50.
What?
Candles are like $12
That's-
a pop.
That's
Okay.
about right.
Yeah.
These
Yeah,
aren't
alright.
that large.
As long as they're good quality ones.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're good candles.
I imagine I just have the credit card, so I just hand that over. I'm not dealing with cash for that much.
Okay. So you go to swipe the card. I want, and I will let you pick, but I'm gonna force a roll here. I want either social for the exchange between this interaction, or I want physical for the actual swipe.
Yeah, I'll go social, I guess.
Okay.
I have one more point in social than physical, so let's do it.
Okay. Give me a roll.
Okay. Oh, yikes. I am super spooky. I rolled a 4 for social.
'Kay.
So,
So
Can I maybe step in and help her so you can re-roll one of your die if it was a 1 or a 2?
I did roll 2s on both dice.
So maybe if you re-roll one die. And...
Because you have the cart, or you have the
Yes.
basket,
Yeah.
so you
And
were
I'll-
up there with me.
Oh no,
so-
totally. I'll like.
Yeah.
Oh hey, is there like a coupon or a discount if we buy
Yeah,
these
is there
in
like
bulk?
yeah.
I thought I saw a coupon in the flyer. I say to the kid.
yeah, and you can see this kid like was trying to make small talk. Captain Jack Marrow's not doing great at it. Goes to swipe the card. He's starting to like key into something. And then he hears coupon, and you can see the blood drain out of this kid's face as he's heard. People have asked him for coupons all damn day, and he's like, "No, any coupons that you might have had the last time we ran a coupon event, it was during Christmas. Those are all expired by this point. I'm sorry." And his attention is completely pulled away from Captain Jack
Awesome.
swiping the card, and
I re-rolled. I have a total of an 8, which is in perfect success.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Skelly Clarkson.
okay. So one of the items has been procured. Where are you off to next? Actually, I do want to clarify before I let you make a decision on that. The coffee shop, the dedicated coffee shop, if you choose to go there, like you can buy coffee in the food court, but the dedicated coffee shop is an actual shop, and it is one on one of the edges of the mall. I don't want you meandering in the wrong direction. You can still grab coffee from the food court if you would like, but if
Steve deserves better
Steve
than food
Steve
court
is pretty
coffee.
particular, so that's up to you.
We got to get like the grounds and like make it at home. Yeah.
Okay, that's better than trying to like bring his half calf triple whip
Yeah.
one shot, 1 shot vanilla, 1 shot hazelnut latte back through the mall and home.
Yeah.
So let's do grounds, totes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So should we get that next then because it's less perishable than flowers?
Yeah.
The only problem is, I'm just worried that flowers will sell out fast. But we should not split up. No, definitely not.
That doesn't go well. Ever.
Mm-mm. Never.
I have one of my arms that like not fully detached, but like it was about to go off and do its own thing. To like, I was
Oh.
like, oh, we're not splitting up. Okay, and I put it back on
I'd like-
just real quick.
Push it
It's like
back
still in my sleeve, so it's not like all the way like ran off. But
Okay. Jerry, make a.
oh no.
I would like a. Let's make it a physical check. This one will be a little bit different, but it will narrate and change something depending on how it answers.
Yeah, my physical is 5 to 10, and I got a 6.
Very nice.
Success.
Okay. In which case, you manage to grab your arm just as it decides to leave and pop it back into place, with enough swiftness to realize that this group had just turned. As their conversation continued to walk, you almost lost them in the crowd, but you managed to kind of catch back up to them. So,
I'm not lost in the mall.
right, the kid lost in the mall.
Thank
Little
goodness,
Jerry.
because that could get real messy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so are you guys heading to the coffee shop to buy their grounds then? Is that my understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. So you travel that direction. Let me see here.
Does he have cream and sugar? Do we need to get cream and sugar?
No, we have all the equipment at home. It's just we're out of the actual coffee.
So as you guys are walking, one of the kiosk folks in the middle stops Skelly. It's like,
Oh no.
ma'am, excuse me, wait, just a minute of your time, if you would. And he starts trying to pitch you a product, and they are, I'm trying to think of the word for them. It's, my brain just completely died. They're like Fitbits, basically, like the wristband, like athletic wristbands, the smartwatches. And he tries to pitch you one, and the very pushy salesman function is like approaching you to put it on you.
And I'm like sort of like slowly rollerblading back away from him, like, oh, thank you so much. But I already have like some at home, and we don't really do Fitbits with like the yoga practice that I usually do. So it's like, bye. You want me to roll for it?
Yes, please. Give me a social.
Let's see. I put 2 on my social, so my range is 6 to 9, and I rolled an 11, so I'm a little too human.
Okay. So you back up from this individual, and he's fine. But you weren't paying attention to what was behind you, and you end up colliding with about a half a dozen high school girls who are very clearly not here for Mother's Day. They're just kind of having a Saturday out. And you all kind of tumble over each other, and as they get up and they're kind of starting to get frustrated over the whole thing, and then they see you, and they see your outfit, very current trend fashionable. You got rollerblades on, and their tone shifts, and all of a sudden they want to get to know about you and what you're doing and whether or not you want to hang out with them. And these 3 are gone. By the time you guys stand back up, the wall of crowd has closed off, and you 3 are on your way to the coffee shop, and Skelly has gotten accosted by these high school girls who are now very interested in whatever she is up to here.
Oh my god, like, girls, you know, I would love to answer all your questions, especially about my, like, yoga practices and where I get my clothes, but I really, really, really need some caffeine right now, so I'm gonna, like, head over that way, and I know that, you know, maybe, I don't know, the food court is more your thing, or,
No.
I don't know.
Like, it's perfect. We were gonna go get coffee anyway. That's why we were walking this way. Let's go! And all 6 of them begin walking with you that way. Whether or not you 3 realize that she's gone or not is up to you. But you guys arrive at the coffee warehouse earlier by a little bit than Skelly. What are you guys up to? As you walk in, you notice there are 2 baristas. No, actually, there would be 3 baristas fairly furiously making drinks. There's 2 cashiers, both of which have half a dozen people in line at this time of the day, grabbing coffees. Whether this be like in the middle of a workday, some people are businessy, some people are just passing through. And you can see all of the bags of coffee beans and actual grounds and things are all held behind the counter on the top shelf to be brought down by the cashier and rung up at the time. So you've got some time to wait, or you've got to get crafty.
All right, Skelly, what does Steve do? Skelly?
Skelly?
That's Skelly.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, did you lose her
I
again?
didn't lose her. I
Oh
was
my
walking in
goodness.
front because I'm tallest. The break.
Okay. I'm sure she's here somewhere. We just need to breathe deep. Well, not really, but that's beside the point.
Okay.
Anyway, we gotta get to the front of that line. So I don't know.
Oh,
Well.
oh.
I'd ask Jerry, but Jerry, you've already played that card. I'm just if you want to again, it's fine.
Yeah.
But you know.
You mean the knocking them out and throwing them in the trunk card? You told me not to do that one. Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
No,
card's on
that
the way
card's
home.
me. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We know your cards. Ooh, you know what though? I'm looking at my own stats here, thinking how I could be useful because all I am is a magical skeleton. So I'm wondering if there is a way that we take Jerry Speinfeld's already diminutive form and maybe we just kind of compact it more and he sneaks behind the counter and just like grabs what we need.
Just-
You know what? That sounds like an excellent idea with no bad
maybe I can
repercussions.
help you on that, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm sure there's nothing that could go wrong there. Go
Look,
ahead. And
I have a
roll.
background in
just like
biology.
Valentine's
That's
Day.
all I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll for magical for me.
Hooray! Ooh, that is a 9. That is a success for me.
Just a straightforward success.
That is a regular success.
Perfect. So yeah, you take.
There are no negative
How
consequences.
tall are you, Jerry? Currently?
I think I am. How tall are kids?
I like to take you over behind a potted plant to like do this weird reconfiguration of skeletons.
Yeah, I think I'm like
Otherwise, we're not in public.
3'8" to start out with.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it drops you down to no taller than 2 feet.
Yes. All right. Go,
My
Jerry,
4
go.
ribs are all stacked on top of each other now.
Yep.
Yep.
I waddle over with my little feet like a
Yeah,
cartoon
you don't
character
have
that's been
elbows anymore.
smashed
You
Yeah,
down.
just
your
have
joints are
one
gone,
straight
but-
limb. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just like
All right.
kind of like slide limbo underneath the slightly raised doors,
Mhm.
swinging doors there, and like go get behind the counter and sneak back there.
Okay. So
Get like
Coffee's-
the 5-pound bag so that we don't have to come back. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, coffee's on the top shelf. All of the grounds and beans and such. You are now no more than 2 feet tall.
Mhm.
You climbing?
Let's see. Oh, a spider climb would be. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of kind of this weird disjointed climb up this shelf. Still trying to be very sneaky the whole time. Trying to get behind as many of the bags on the shelf as
Can
I
you-
can.
Can you find like a coffee sack to put on to like camouflage yourself?
Yeah, I think once I get
Okay.
up to, I don't know, is like on one of the lower counters, so I don't have to get very high before I can maybe, or a trash can. I'm gonna like go over to a trash can and rifle around for something that I could throw over myself.
Okay.
That should be on the shelves. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Urban camouflage here.
Yeah. So you find, you end up finding some old, like the soy milk cartons, like the big ones.
Okay.
Grab an empty soy milk carton and
Mhm.
try to disguise yourself best you can. And then as far as climbing, I will need a physical roll from you.
All right.
You got this.
I do got this. Yeah, I got a 6. 5 to 10 is my success.
Okay.
Yep.
So You guys are very familiar with what's happening and are paying attention to this the whole time, but nobody else seems to notice, caught up in the busyness of their own metropolitan life and waiting for their coffee, most important of all things throughout the day. You climb across the shelves, collecting this 5-pound bag of, do you prefer whole bean or ground?
I think we're going to grind it ourselves.
Okay.
That's part of our...
Make it real fresh.
5-pound whole beans.
Mhm.
And then I'm just gonna be obnoxious about it. What roast? Light, medium, dark.
Let's see, is Steve a dark roast guy?
As dark as his soul.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
Steve is a dark roast guy.
I think Mama Steven is a dark roast guy and is going to. So I'm going to take that one.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to kick one of the lesser bags or the less desired bags off the opposite direction from where I'm dropping, so that there's a little bit of a misdirect there.
You are so good at this.
Okay.
One of the bags hits the floor.
I would like another physical roll. Clever use of the extra bag, though. So if you need to re-roll, you may.
right.
One of your dice.
I do not. I got 7. That's right in my range.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep.
You are a crafty, spooky skeleton, but you are not seen when you don't want to be, and all of this goes off without a hitch, and within a couple of minutes is all it takes you to be back from behind the counter, dragging a bag of coffee beans that is roughly half the size, if not a little bit more, of yourself.
Uh-huh. I think I'm rolled it on the skateboard at this point. At some point, it became a little bit of a something to push it along with. Yeah.
Okay. So you reach Captain Jack and Patricia, and at this point, Skelly walks into the coffee shop with all of these girls, and you can hear the audible groan from 2 or 3 of them as they see the lines. But you have refound your lost party member.
Oh my god, girls, have you tried matcha green tea lattes? It is crazy the amount of energy it gives you. I feel just like so super jazzed for all of my different poses. It's like I can do like 50 sun salutations off of 1 cup alone. It's crazy.
Roll another social for me.
8. I succeeded.
Very nice.
In my range, yes.
So the conversation there, if you are using that as an excuse to break away from the crowd, is a little bit too mastercraft of what they were looking for. They've actually kind of lost interest because it's a little bit too in depth for what they cared about. They just wanted to get some coffee and have some giggles, and you actually are.
It's Steve.
Yep.
Praise Steve. I'm like, oh, hey, those are my friends. Thanks so much for walking me here. Bye, girls. Bye.
They all wave, and they're like passively cordial about the whole thing. But you get back to your friends. You 4 have 2 of the 3 items that you need to return to Steve with, and we are going to take a brief 5-7 minute intermission. It's about 7 o'clock, which is when we typically do that, and then we will return here in just a moment with more numbskulls, and then talk about Tiny Tome and all of its goodness at the end. But we'll see y'all in a moment, folks. Thanks for sticking around. Welcome back, everybody. This is the top shelf where we are playing Numbskulls, which is one of the 50 games held within Tiny Tome, currently backing on Kickstarter for the next little over a week, including today. But we have in our story today 2 of the 3 items we need to return to our necromancer Steve with, so that he can complete the blood moon ritual tonight. They are our intrepid skeletons are currently navigating the social pressures of a busy mall on Mother's Day weekend. And the last thing to find, possibly the most difficult to obtain on such a weekend, are lilies. particularly Madonna lilies. But there is one flower shop within the mall, and for the sake of arbitration here, I don't mind getting to the flower shop, unless there was anything else that you guys wanted to do aside from your normal travel along the way.
Did we put Jerry Speinfeld back together?
That's a good question.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to be a bigger size, or do you think that 2 feet is good?
I think as far as getting across the mall, when we're doing weird things with our bones, it seems to draw attention. So
Yeah. I
if
mean,
it's,
unless we get
not
like
too
one
much
of
trouble.
I was gonna say unless we get one of the like mall strollers. That way
Oh,
we
yeah.
could keep all of the stuff in here too, all the candles and coffee. No, I can
I'll
put you
I'll
back
take
if you
the
would
ride.
like.
Yeah, I think I'd like to have my usual body, my usual body
Excellent.
back. Yeah.
Reassemble your joints and place your
Uh-huh.
ribs correctly for you.
Mm-hmm.
Good
The
deal.
space in between things.
Do we
I'll
have to
take
do
a couple
a
of my vertebrae
deck
back.
about that, or
Yeah,
can we just
where is this being done?
like find like the family mall restrooms with like the changing table that folds down?
You absolutely may.
Mhm.
Magic created this. A magic roll will get you back out.
All right. I can do a magic roll. Apparently I can't.
Okay.
I rolled an 11, which is just superhuman outside the bounds of my magicalness. So I
Okay.
guess we go into the koala care station to try and like repiece you back together. I don't know.
Keep going. Tell me what happens.
Okay. I guess because it's too superhuman and I'm like male presenting, because I'm a man taking care of a child, people are obviously like, wow, you're amazing. Because that's what society's like these days. Yeah. And
Okay.
so like, yeah, I don't know.
No, I'll run with that. So, yeah, this fatherly figure helping take care of little Jerry Spinefield has drawn the attention of 2 or 3 moms who are taking the weekend to have a time out for themselves because, husbands forget sometimes. And they are impressed by your child care, and one of the mothers in this group approaches you, the 2 kind of tailing behind, and just, wow, look at you. You got are you wearing a lab coat just out and about? Must be important.
Oh, yeah, it's from school.
Are you a teacher?
Yeah, I work in sciences.
Goodness, no wonder you're so
lot.
good with kids. God, I don't know. Teachers are just, I find them so attractive. I'm sorry.
Thanks. Jerry and I gotta get going home though. We got mom at home. And I like try and do the like grab to tweak a nose of the kid, but we're skeletons, so we don't have a nose. So just like, hey.
I'm gonna force a social on that.
Yep. That's fine. Oh, thank goodness. I hit the lowest number of my success, a 6. I added 1 point to social.
Okay,
Whew.
as forward as this woman is, she's
Yeah.
not trying to step on anybody's toes. And as
Yep.
soon as you mention mom, she's like, "Oh, okay. I'm sorry. She must be very, very lucky though. Like that's."
Oh, sure. Yep, we love our mom at home.
And
Mama Steven.
We love Mom Steve. Do you say that? Please tell me you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
she
I
looks
just pat you on the head.
she
Like,
looks
yeah.
a little confused as she kind of walks off, kind of defeated by her endeavors. The two other women that are with her, both very clearly married, where she is not, are kind of making just kind of passing jokes at the misattempt there. But you guys are free to meander upon your way. Jerry Spinefeld's
Crack your
been
joint
returned
back
to
into how it should be.
his 3'8"
Okay.
standard height.
Here we go. All right.
Okay, off to
All
the
right,
flower
Jerry
shop.
Speinfeld. Let's go. Madonna lilies. Here we go.
Okay, so you enter the flower shop, and not surprisingly, it is the busiest area in the mall. You got people in and out. The workers just look tired as hell over this whole thing, trying to be as helpful as they can be. But it is almost to the place where two of you walking in is already a crowd. If all four of you are going in, you're going to be winding your way through people. And I'm curious, because you don't have eyeline on that flower yet either. What's your plan?
You know, I got the Heelys, and it'll help me get around the floor really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe around all these other people, and I got the bag. I can hit them in the head if I want it. So maybe I can go and scope it out, and then I don't know, Jerry. Do you feel okay here? Do you want to step in after I scope it out and pick out the flower, or would you like me to deal with it?
Also, how many did Steve say we need? Like, do we need the dozen, like, the candles? Or is one enough?
You know, let me pull out my notebook and see what
All
he
right.
had to say about it. All right, then.
He did indeed need a dozen.
Okay, so it looks like he needs, 12 candles, 12 flowers. I'm not arguing with him. He's very stressed. Miss Steven needs his flowers. Let's
You're
not
right.
argue about it.
You're right. It's just like, that's going to be a lot.
Yes, but, that's a later problem.
You know,
It's okay. We
You
got
can, like,
this.
cross multiply them or something. You know,
It's
I got
okay.
the biology background. Maybe just get like 2 and we'll quick breed them or something.
Ooh, with magic.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
science, magic. Magic
Well,
science.
Really, as I've always said, magic is just science you don't understand yet. So, I'll figure
Jack,
something out.
I've always appreciated your great mind, lovely. So I'll get as many as we can,
All right.
and then I'll hand it to you, and you can work your magic, and it'll be fine.
All right. Great.
All right, let's go.
Go, Jerry. Go, Patricia.
Clicking Heelys, let's go.
Okay,
Woohoo!
so Jerry and Patricia head into the store, both of you searching around. Now, are you physically trying to push through the crowd to find them yourselves, or are you using social to try to ask somebody, or are you using something magical to try to divine? How are you locating these flowers?
I think Patty would be happy to go the social route. That seems to be her bag. But she'd want to check in with Jerry first.
Okay, so Jerry, are you gonna try and get your hands on it, or do you want to approach this in a different way? I just want to make sure, because I'm thinking of asking some people. But if you want me to roll around on my Heelys, I can give it a go. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'll grab them. You wanna roll me towards them, and I'll swipe them. See if I can swipe.
All right, I love your thinking.
Okay.
So it sounds like it's a physical attempt, yes.
Yes, that would be a physical attempt. From my understanding, we are stealing these flowers at this point.
Who's gonna stop me? It's a little kid getting flowers for his mom.
All right. I can't argue with the
We know-
logic. We'll see what happens.
We know how to do one thing, and that is pretend to be a child
Uh-huh.
who steals.
Beautiful, love it.
Okay. I need Patricia's roll first for physical, because you were doing the
Okay.
movement.
That is again Justin. Justin on a 6.
Okay, perfect. Part 1 of 2 is done. You have gotten eyes on the section of Madonna Lilies, and you have made as breakneck a pace as you can with little Jerry Speinfeld as close as you can to these flowers for Jerry to snatch them. You are up. Second half of the plan. Give us another physical roll.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. Just like that, you roll through, swipe, take a grab at these flowers, and then wheel away. Let's see how many you made off with. Okay. So, as you return to the group, you've got 7 flowers in your hand.
This many.
To complicate things just a touch further, you weren't being particularly picky about which ones you were grabbing. 3 of those look to be a little wilty. I don't know if that matters to Steven, but that's up to you if that makes a difference.
I mean, we're all a little wilty, and we're good
Aw.
enough for Mama Steven.
And you know, that's what matters. And obviously, Captain Jack Merrill over here, just working your magic. You're a superstar. You're gonna kill it. Oh, revive it. I don't know.
That was so effortless, and I'm such a fan of you right now.
Okay. Jack, what's your plan with these flowers then?
I think that we need to find an out-of-the-way spot where we can't really be seen, and then try and coax some better life. Maybe try and, like, make some of the lilies a little bigger so we can split them and make 12 out of this somehow.
You know what? That sounds like a place for the car park. Maybe the car
Yeah.
park that's like out of the way. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna
closer
say
to
maybe
it.
not in the mall.
Maybe not in the mall, but like, do you want it underground or do you want it like above?
Well,
above
like,
ground.
probably in sunlight would be best for these things, you know?
Yeah. Okay. All right. You're the expert. So okay, let's get the professor to the place that he needs to be so that he can
Yeah.
do what he needs to do.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and like we can head back to the car maybe. Like we have enough to work with here, and I feel like the longer we spend away from our car, they might take it. I don't know, I'm getting real antsy about it now. So,
It's
You
all right.
know.
We got you. We got
Yeah.
you. It's fine.
right.
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I'll wave my bag. I'll have a cry. I'll kick my heelies. Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. To
We can
the
always have Jerry shove someone in the trunk while I'm working because he really wants to do that. So,
I mean, I'm just letting you know, I'm willing.
spoilers
Not as
is
much
the,
about wants, but
your willingness is noted and appreciated.
the spoilers is that's how Skelly Clarkson ended up as part of the crew.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, so you guys travel back towards the car. You've got stuff in hand, you're ready to go. Nobody's going to stop you in a crowd that busy to even verify whether or not you bought those things. This is not Black Friday, this is just Mother's Day, so it's, tonally different, just as busy. People head out with you, and you make it back towards the car. You're about a half a block away from it when you spot them. There is 2 officers aside the car. The one person that was real stressed about Captain Jack Marrow and the spinning head trick is sitting on the sidewalk, kind of dejected away from everything, very much giving you the intent that he wasn't believed, but they investigated, and now the cops found something else. But there are 2 officers there, and then you can see that the 2 police cars that had pulled up to the accident, which by this point in the day had been cleaned up, are still present, with a 3rd officer standing next to one of those cars just at a little bit of a distance. But you've got people directly in your way who are individuals of the law. What's your plan?
So what you're saying is the other cop car is unattended.
No.
I did indeed say this.
You know, I
It's nice to have options.
I don't entirely dislike your thinking. It is an emergency. Miss Stevens very stressed right now. We need to get this to Miss Stevens stat.
Right.
Maybe we could just,
We'll do a tradesy later.
it
We'll
all
bring
looks
it
back
back.
around anyway.
We'll bring it
Well-
back after tonight.
The
Yeah.
only thing is that they probably have trackers on these things, so you don't necessarily want to bring it all the way back to the lair. But
Oh my goodness, yes.
But maybe we could use it as a distraction. And like, if somebody took their car and then they would like run away from our car, and then we could like rendezvous and leave together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Patty turns around to Jerry.
Okay, Jerry. All right. So I know it's not quite. Putting someone in the boot of the car. But would you like to steal a car and then maybe put the pursuers in the boot after? Is that
Yeah.
something you want to do?
Technically, you are putting a body into a car. It's
You
just
don't.
your
You
body.
don't have
into
to sell
their
me
car.
on this.
Okay.
Nope. You don't have to sell me
Okay.
on this.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
I
I
got it.
believe
You're great.
you. You're gonna do amazing.
Scamper over my jointless legs, like flopping over as I scamper over to this car.
Wait, I thought you had your
It's like
joints
clop,
back.
clop, clop,
Didn't
clop,
they make
clop.
you tall again?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm still short though, so I'm missing some of the bones. So there's some bending that's not supposed to be
Okay, gotcha.
Because these are all adult-sized bones, making my child-size.
Oh, yep. Oh, that makes
Mhm.
sense. You're even more disconcerting than I originally thought.
That's the goal.
I love it. Okay, so you head over to the other cop car. I will let... This is functionally a sneak, basically. But I will probably require a physical for the sake of this.
All right. Ooh. Okay. So I got snake eyes, and that's not a success for me.
Okay,
That's too low.
so you get to the car. Nobody's noticed you. You get in the car. Nobody's noticed you. Turn the car on, pull away, and you flip a U to head down the road, and you turn and you pass by the car with the officer standing next to it, and they see you in the driver's seat, and all of a sudden they go white because they catch the full visual of what you are. And the problem with that is you drive and just keep driving, and this cop has hesitated and doesn't know what he just saw, leaving these three to deal with three cops, and you're just going.
Mm-hmm. Is there a problem here? I was just stealing the car, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably having a great time. This cop, now stressed out of his wits, begins to make his way over to the individual sitting on the side of the curb, and you can see in his face that now he feels like an ass, not believing this guy. So he starts walking over. So you're very quickly about to have a convergence of 4 people around your vehicle. What are you 3 up to?
Maybe we should go, like, try and find Jerry and hitch a ride home, because I don't think they're leaving the car, you guys.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we just get out of range in the cop car and then ditch the cop car and find another car and just take a lot of vehicles on the way home or something, you know?
Yeah. You know what? In public transport in this city, don't discount it. Is all I'm
That's
saying.
true.
I got
We
my
do have a
Heelys.
lot of things to carry, though. Especially if I have to make 7 into 12 lilies. That's going to be even
No,
more.
it's okay. All right. So
All right.
Jerry's got the car. We're gonna meet up with him later.
Okay.
You've got some stuff. Let's divide it up, and then we'll roll away on our respective rollies. I've got my
All right.
Heelys. Skelly, you've got your roller skates, and Captain Jack, you've got your hover thingy.
Yes.
It's a hovering, right?
I got
Okay,
it from
all
one
right.
of the kids at the high school.
Okay, it's okay. You know what? It's a tote bag. This is a tote bag, and it's amazing. And it's amazing because it can fit a lot of things. So I'm sure we can divide it up. Let's go. We got this.
Okay, so you three are just leaving the scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you guys trying to get in contact with Jerry? And if so, how? Or are you coming back, or are you waiting for a signal?
We know the general direction he's going in.
Right,
So
we saw him go. How hard is it to follow a cop car? I've never followed a cop car.
And I mean, it didn't look like he was peeling out at a rate of knots. So maybe it's just like between Healy's roller skates and hoverboard, we can kind of just coast along.
Yeah, I think I started driving the car without a plan of where I was going, or a real understanding of the layout of the city or anything. I think I knew kind of where the gate where we came from is, but that's about it.
You were in the back seat. You weren't really watching the route on the way here. So
Yeah, I was playing my my Game Boy in the back seat while we're coming up.
Admittedly,
Really
you're probably having a
getting
hard time seeing over the windshield anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
could call you on a skull phone. What? Sorry, I just thought of that pun.
Captain Jack, make it so.
Okay. I don't know how that would work. I just thought of that pun.
You pull out one of your ribs. It's fine. Pull out one of your ribs.
Jerry only has 4 ribs.
Well, it's enough. He only needs one. It's fine.
All right. Is that a magic thing?
Yes. And you're on a public street. So yeah, give me a magic roll. Let's pass this off as you having just a normal cell phone.
Okay. Well, I got a 4, which is super spooky of me.
Okay. So you walk down the street a couple of blocks and you're like, "Hey, let's go ahead and ring Jerry." And you open the lab coat and somebody just exposed ribs and you just break one off or like dislocate one and raise it up to your ear.
Yeah.
And one person standing outside the ramen shop has passed out. And 2 people are screaming. Only one of which has enough sense to immediately have their phone up to their ear. And 911 has been called, but you can't tell if it's because of you guys or the guy who just passed out. But people are stressed. That being said,
I also am stressed.
Jack, what are you saying to Jerry over this skell phone?
Hey, where are you? We should try and meet up so we can all get back to the lair. Where did you go?
Well, I can't read any of these green signs. But there is
in a place with green signs. I'm just like giving any directions I can. I trust Patricia and Skelly more.
I think there's a store with a big star on it.
Can you go back to the mall?
Can you get back to the mall? Maybe we'll just meet there again.
Go back the way I came from. Okay, I can figure that.
Sure.
I'll
just
retrace
back
my steps.
past the cops. Yeah.
I think we can. We can get there.
This will be fine. Okay.
As the skell phone hangs up, you can hear the walkie-talkie on the dash of the police car ring through and be like, "Officer, this is dispatch. We've got a code 666 down on State Street. It's about 200 south. We're looking at potentially something supernatural. It's been about a decade since this happened. You should get over there." You have no idea what they're talking about, but you hear it through the radio at least.
Yes, my name is Officer. I will go check it out.
My name is Officer?
I dispatch briefly waits a second. It's like, "Officer, can I get your badge number, please?" And make sure that I have it for record.
Yeah, it is 62. Is that right?
Is that right?
Oh, I can't even make you roll a social for that one because it's so bad right offhand.
It's perfect.
It's so good. I love it. So you start turning the car around, having answered this dispatch and heading toward in the direction that they have provided you. Inadvertently heading back to your friends, and dispatch responds on the walkie-talkie. Officer 62, why don't you keep hands off this one and just come back to the precinct? We'll take care of it.
I think I'm going to put my. I think I'm going to smash the radio and say boring conversation anyway, and then just keep on driving.
Okay, so you keep driving despite the instructions. We will see what repercussions that has. But you
Probably
three, what are you guys up to? Because there's panic in this area, and you guys are definitely the cause of it.
We should probably leave this area.
Well, I mean, if we've sorted all the baggage and we've got it spread in equal thirds, then I think we can go.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's go.
Should we try to calm some of these people down, or would we just make things worse?
I feel like that would
Listen,
make things worse. I did just kind of take a rib out.
Oh.
This is a living person problem, which means it doesn't fall into our territory. So
That's
Got it.
I respect them.
Got it.
I respect what they're going through, but it also doesn't relate to us. It's fine. You know what? They're free deceased. It's not our problem. We can't relate.
Thank you for the guidance.
That's fair.
No worries. Let's go. And
We did say we were
Patricia-
going to meet Jerry back at the mall, so.
Okay, let's go to the mall, kids.
Right.
Let's go. And
All right.
she just does this like mother hen thing.
As you all barrel off towards the mall. Okay. So, as you do so, you can hear sirens in the distance of 2 other dispatch vehicles on the way to the ramen shop. As you arrive back at the mall, you can turn it, because this is really only like 4 blocks away, and it's all along State Street, so you're kind of seeing all of this, at least at a distance. You can see 2 cop cars converge at this location, lights flashing, signals going off, all of that jazz. And then a cop car that has nothing going on with it, just kind of pulling up to the same area as you 3 get to the mall space. Jerry, you are that 3rd cop car. You've got 4 officers who have just left their vehicles in what look like consecrated SWAT gear. They are the like bulletproof vests and things are laced with gold, and you can see like the Catholic cross of St. Peter on the back of them, as they all march in on the situation to assess what's going on. A litany of things across their tool belt to combat any amount of at least supernatural threat to some minor degree. This is not something you were familiar with when you were sent shopping, but it is something you'll have to deal with now. You are still in your car at this point. What are you up to?
All right. So, okay, I'm picturing these officers converging on me. I don't recognize their authority, by which I mean I don't understand that they even have authority in the first place. Yeah, my first instinct is to see if I have a way to get, like, maybe push through the floor of this cop car and scuttle out from underneath it, without them seeing that, like, without having to open any of the doors.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Are you employing physicality to get through the floor, or are you using something magical?
I was gonna brute force it, but I think I attempted that a little bit. I was like, oh no, even with my extreme strength, I'll have to employ a little magic in this case.
Perfect.
So I'm quickly scratching a little spell circle in the upholstery on the
Okay.
cop car.
Go for it.
Yeah. That's an 8, which is a success.
Okay. So you inscribe this spell circle, and you watch a perfect hole in very much the Roadrunner fashion, just kind of evaporate through the space, and you are very easily able to slip out of the car and dash out of the area.
Like rolling on my skateboard on my belly like a mechanic's like roller thing, and
Perfect.
yeah. Learned that one from Captain Jack.
Y'all are such a good team. Where are you heading, Jerry?
Did I see my friends when I pulled up?
You did not. They had headed back to the mall by that point.
Okay.
But
And this is by the. Am I by the
ramen shop.
place?
Yeah,
Okay.
about 4 blocks away. You guys.
I think I'm gonna.
Oh, go ahead.
I think I'm gonna try to find an adult-looking person who is walking the other direction and fall in next to them, like I am part of the crowd.
Ooh, sneaky.
And try to. Eventually, my goal is to get to the mall because they did say that we were gonna meet back there.
Okay. Sounds good. You guys, are you watching the proceedings of this at a distance and just kind of waiting on Jerry?
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Adjusting the big, like, huge glasses on her face, Patty's like, I think he's got this. Like, there's a lot going on. They have a lot going on. They look a little stressed. You know what they need? They need a gift basket of candles, preferably lavender ones.
Okay,
We
but we
should send
can't
them a
give away
gift basket.
ours.
But these are for Steve.
Yeah.
I know that these are for Steve. I'm not saying we give him ours, but maybe later we just send him a little gift basket saying, "Thanks for trying. Here's some lavender."
Yeah.
I feel like they just need to be appreciated as all. Anyway, I'm sure that Jerry's got it well in hand. They're just really good at everything, so it'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gary is the best of us.
Jerry, roll some social for me. This is for you blending into the crowd as somebody's kid without anybody noticing.
Yes, I love right after that. I'm good at everything. I roll my worst stat. It's my favorite. I got 5, which is too spooky.
Okay. So you fall in next to this individual who's pushing a stroller, and curiosity gets the better of you for just a moment as you are kind of keeping pace aside, not really making any attention to anything. As you just kind of glance over the side of the stroller, and the baby begins to scream. At this point, the mother has now noticed you, and looked down, and seen the same thing the baby has seen, and begins to scream again. This is not something that they are specifically doing, but screams just down the street on the same side of the road is enough for all 4 of these officers to just make a break. 1 stays there, 3 are on pursuit down that sidewalk stretch. And they are quick. Are you changing?
All right.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, I think I'm going to roll the stroller towards them. Not tip it over or anything, but just kind of like give it a push so it's in their path, so they'll have to deal with the stroller. And then skateboard off.
Skateboard off. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to need 1 more physical roll for this pursuit before somebody might need to intervene.
I got 5, which is just in for my physical.
Just in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The stroller was a good call. You just barely managed to evade these consecrated SWAT as you reach the parking lot of the mall. You've crossed the street, and you manage to kind of disappear in a weave of parked cars before making your way back to your friends. The situation, unfortunately, hasn't changed. You're back together, you're out of harm's way for the moment, but you all still need to get back to Steve, and it is starting to get later.
How is the situation around our car in particular? Like, have they left the regular car now that all the weird skeleton sightings have been happening further away?
Not at all. In fact, you can see all 3 of them posted there, and just at a little bit of a distance, because this was closer by, you can see the one guy who had noticed you first looking very triumphant about the fact that everybody's taking him seriously now, as these 3 officers have kind of crime scene taped off this vehicle to make sure that, they're at least watching the perimeter so that somebody can come and inspect it later, most likely. Other than that, they're not doing much.
All right. But we're back at the mall.
But
You know
you-
what
we
the mall
break
has? The mall has
cars?
the mall has a lot of other Honda Civics.
Yes, because if we break into one, we can use the same key, right?
Yeah, that's
Right?
how cars work. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, I do have a little number here, and
Beep beep.
I
I just start trying to point the car
So
keys
you're-
at other Honda Civics to
Beautiful.
see if it'll work.
I think Patty's going to follow the crew, ever believing in their efficacy, and flips through her little notepad and goes,
you know, I do have a number here for Mr. Phil. So maybe, I'm just saying, maybe I could call him and get a ride. I don't know, bit of a long shot, but if we're out of cars and we got some holy forges down on us, it might be an idea. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think that's a great backup plan if we can't find a car.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm like doing that thing in the parking lot. Hey, did you guys know if you hold the key fob up to your mouth and open it, it actually makes the signal go farther? So just like, and I'm just
Is
like
that right?
trying to trigger another Honda Civic to see if we can just take a different car.
I need you to
Is
make a
that
magic
accurate?
roll.
Okay. Come on, buddy. Hey, that is a 9. That is a success for me.
Okay. Regardless of whether or not anything you said regarding Honda Civic key fobs and the mouth thing and all of that is accurate.
That does actually work. That's a real fact.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You are passively magic enough as a skeleton that tapping this key fob does eventually yield results. And you see the trunk pop on one of the blue newer model Honda Civics, 2 rows down. You make your way over to it, and you've got access into the car.
All right. We put Jerry in the trunk because that's his dream right now.
Okay.
Do you think they'll recognize him if he's sitting up front?
That's why he goes in the trunk, I guess.
Okay, good
I don't
call.
know.
Good call. All right, who wants to drive? Call shotgun.
I have the keys still, so we'll see if they work. They probably
That's
do.
fine.
They probably
you
do.
You can take all of that. I'm gonna take a nap in the back seat because it's been a very stressful day. My goodness.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone get in the new Honda Civic.
Don't get ahead of yourself. This is newer. It's not...
Okay, get in the
it's not
newer
superb.
Honda Civic.
Like, you turn the key and the engine light still pops on, but, like, everything seems to work. So you begin to drive back to your destination. And now that you all have managed to regather in a vehicle, the driver is driving, and we've all functionally escaped suspicion at the time. I'll call that a success. You all managed to make your way back to the illusionary, basically garage entrance of this lair in the overpass on the west side of the city, to which you are greeted by accidentally rolling a tire over one of the oozes who was mopping the space, but they reform. They're fine. You make your way over, past the candles and the lilies, and I need a magic roll for those lilies before we stop
Oh, yeah,
this.
there's only 7 of them.
Mhm.
It's okay. We're in a safe spot now. They can see the sky. They're going to feel real comfy. That's a 6. That is magical enough. I'm a very magical
Okay.
science.
In range.
Skeleton.
You get to Steve, you pass off the candles, you pass off the coffee, or rather announce the coffee and somebody goes off to make it. And then you go from these 7 flowers, realizing that Steve's right there, other people are handing him different things, and just kind of wave your hand and recount them, make sure there's 12, you're good, you pass them off, you're golden, and you are all given a very gracious thanks from Steve, who objectively is a fairly decent employer.
And Steve, we got you a better car.
Whose was
We
the
traded
other?
up.
We didn't have a car.
We what?
What? Well, we have one now.
Yeah, the keys are right here.
Lovely.
We got you a car. Happy Mother's Day, Steve.
And he takes the keys and smiles and goes, well, yes, we're going to keep this one hidden, though, because I don't know which... Did you take the beater that's just been sitting on the side of the road right in front?
That's not our car?
No, that was abandoned by somebody like 2 months ago.
Where'd we get the keys?
They were in the ignition. I just...
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, we got you a better car.
Well, thanks. Trading nothing for something. That's good. And you were all gifted by Steve over the next month or so by the societally heinous kidnapping of a very well-respected dentist who is forced to make sure that you are all sparkly clean and in good skull health. But that is Numbskulls in a nutshell, and that is absolutely spectacular. That a very, very good game.
That was
Simple
very good.
hijinks. Risk is, despite the fact that things are generally bad, not a lot of risk, which is interesting to the whole situation. But that is lots of fun. So, let's see. We're at 7:48. We're gonna take another 5 because I apologize. I need to use the restroom before we get into conversation. So I am going to step out. We will be right back, and then we're going to have some conversation with the authors of 2 of the games from Tiny Tome, what our thoughts are on the game, and everything else that we found within, because this book is chock full of all kinds of goodness. So stick around if you want the chats at the end. If you're just here for the game, happy to have seen you, but we will be back here momentarily. A quick break post the game, and now we are ready to chit-chat about Tiny Tome, the Kickstarter that is currently up on, well, Kickstarter, by Longtail Games. It is a collection of 50 different one-page RPGs, and they are pretty much all delightful. They're all chock full of flavor, all kinds of good stuff. I want to very quickly touch on, because there's just so much stuff in this book, I want to quickly touch on Numbskulls, what everybody's opinions of it were, how the game went, thoughts, suggestions, things like that, about the system itself. Because I loved it. I'm a fan of it being a GM if I'm playing a GM that does not have to roll dice. If I can just tell the story, I'm having a good time, and most of the stuff in this is like that. So that's, like, my thoughts on it are just very praiseworthy towards, it's an improv game, you're designed to tell a story, and that makes it easier. So that's always very nice. Let's see. But anybody is willing to, or able to, speak up at leisure about anything you have. If not, I can always move on to other things.
I mean, I really appreciated it, one, for how fast it is. We had never talked before the game, and then 5 minutes before, you're like, this is the game we're playing. And we're like, here we go. We're going to look up pun skeleton names. That's the characters. Here we go. And it was easy enough for us to play off each other. So I think that was really, like, the concept of, you're just skeletons that work for a necromancer. Like, that's enough to get the concept across, and it's easy and fast, and that makes it very comfortable to play, I feel like. You know? Like, we kind of fell into our roles pretty easily and well.
I also really like how the framing of it really lends itself to us playing a slapstick comedy game, because, you know, in a lot of the role-playing games that we do, we inject humor into it just because we're all hilarious, funny people. But the framework of this just made it so much easier to, you know, to just lean into the spooky, scary skeletons that we were talking about as we started.
Yeah, it builds concept really easily in a way that I've noticed a lot of one-page RPGs do, where it has to give you kind of the hook at the beginning, because there's not nearly as much material to work off of to say, well, how am I going to start, finish, and end, or middle and end that whole process. So yeah, steeping everything in flavor makes everybody buy in a little bit easier, which is definitely a benefit of one-page stuff. It makes it more accessible too for people, I think, who don't play RPGs as often. And I mean, this gives you tons and tons of options if you're just getting into RPGs outside of something like D&D, which is great. Any thoughts from Megan or Mitchell on it? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, from the like GM notes side of it, like when you're reading through it, there's types of scenarios it suggests for you to do are all hilarious and great, and the way they like mix and match is all very shenanigans driven. So the author, who's Caden Ramstack, and that's what you look up on Twitter when you want to look up this author, did an awesome job with all of that. And then I like, there's only been like one other game I think that I've seen that has had this like success window where like if you're outside of it one direction, and the other one I can think of is Grant, how it's Nice Marines, where like if you go too far or too high, you have this problem, too low, you have this problem, and you're really looking for that sweet spot. So
yeah, it was a cool mechanic.
It's a fun
really,
thing to play with.
Very unique mechanic to play with. I'm most certainly going to be looking for more games who employ that, because I think the two different sides of failure give more options to understand how it moves the story forward.
Yeah. And I like that it was very much like, you guys, like, the players decide with the GM exactly how that turns into a complication of like, you know, okay, you're too human in the family restroom. What happens? Okay. And
Yeah, and I feel like echoing off of everyone else's sentiments, I never felt like there was a hard stop at any sort of failure. That there was always a way to solve the problem. That it was just like a katamari of events that kept rolling on, and that gave the players and the GM the freedom to expand on that. Because sometimes I've encountered one shots where it's just like a full TPK if you just fail roll, right? But it always felt like we were failing forward here, which was really exciting. So yeah, really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I really also wanted to compliment how you brought up Phil at the end of the game, because I was like, oh, this is genius. This is like I kill that plan. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of like I think that really feeds into like I feel the sort of the sense of the game, right? Like it's that fail forward. It's that, oh yeah, well, that interaction went really awkward, but you can actually call on it. And I feel like the way that this game is set up gives you a lot of different options with that. And I believe, as Mitchell was explaining before in the GM notes, there's also a few cues given there in terms of how things can progress. So it's a complication. It's never the end.
Yeah.
Or it never really felt like that during play.
That's an interesting. So it's not a game mechanic that I have played a whole lot, in the sense that there is no definitive means of failure. Which I feel like as a GM not familiar with that can make trying to figure out how to add consequences to the two things more difficult initially. Do we, as a group, I think, just talking on that mechanic specifically of creating a game where it's just to tell a story of hijinks as opposed to create any kind of lasting consequence like death or injury or what most bigger systems will provide. Is that something that you guys prefer? I mean, obviously, I think there's a place for both, but I think the topic of why it exists is interesting.
Yeah, I think bad rolls can serve as like speed bumps or even worse, like brick walls for groups. And there's been plenty of like APs that I've listened to where like you can hear the disappointment, like the GM's voice, like when the bad roll comes through, like, oh no, I really. Whereas then like stuff like the fantasy flight stuff, like that has its like story dice, like you never like it's supposed to give you more than just like yes or no's.
No. It's interesting to me because I feel like there is an avenue of failure in games that don't have like dangerous ends to characters where like they're put in a risk situation where they might be lost from the game, that almost incorporates the GM more as a player. Like, it's just everybody kind of making decisions to tell a story as opposed to somebody adjudicating consequence. And that's very interesting. Because I did feel like I was playing along with that more than I was kind of providing rules guidance and, like structure to failure. But just adding my own tidbits of thought into it, which is really nice to feel like a whole table's together. Okay, so next question, because again, there's too much to move through in the book to feel like I can lean just on what we played. I do want to hear from Mitchell and Doreen about their games specifically. I've read them both, but I'd love to hear kind of what you've built and why you ended up making what you did. Or any inspirations behind them, because they're both very, very unique. Doreen created a game called Unreality and Strictness, or Unreality/Strictness. There's no center word there. And then Mitchell's game, I have it here, Where the Queen's Reign Knows No End, which I'm personally a fan of long titles because they're just fun. But both are very flavorful in their own ways. Mitchell, do you want to start us off and just tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Mine has a bit of a backstory. So I made another game called Where the Skies as Red as Honey, which a lot of people now own because of different like charity bundles. So you might have it already. And that was made, it was a jam where someone made a cover, and then I made a game, and other people made a game for the cover. So the title and the first long title came from that. And that's a game that features that follows a community after it follows like a hive community after the queen dies and they like awaken to their new identity. So when there was a one-page jam, before even Tiny Tome was a thing that was happening, one of my ideas was to expand backwards, make kind of like a prequel to that. You also don't need the second game or to know the lore of the second game or the original game to be able to play the Queen's Reign. To create a conversation between a queen and the servant, and possibly the servant who kills the queen. I mean, some mild spoilers, not necessarily, but like someone who is there maybe at the end of the Queen's Reign, which isn't supposed to be a thing that happens. The game is a conversation, and that was kind of like For the Queen inspired. And so it's maybe a soft descended from the Queen's game. The original game that I made, I have all these dice and mechanics in it. And then while I was making it or finishing it, I was like, oh, did I really need to put all this in here? And it's still in there and you can play it or not play it. But this is kind of an exploration of not putting the hard mechanics in it. And,
I was just going to bring that up too, because Where the Queen's Reign Knows No End has no dice mechanics, cards, rope, whatever somebody wants to use. There is a game in here that uses rope as its mechanical item, which is very interesting. Best played around a table with friends in real life, though. Doesn't really translate to this. However, your game covers, the queen and then the servant or servants. It gives the opportunity to have more people involved. Was the intent to make it a one-on-one? Because as reading through it, it kind of felt like it was best played in a duo.
Yeah, I think it's an intimate game. And the original cover art shows that too. And I think it's best played as a one-on-one. But other For the Queen games, like that conversation can still happen between multiple servants who all have a different part to play there.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's actually fair. The game can become more complex the more people you get into it, because it is just developing a character kind of off the cuff without any roles involved. But the game functions in a way of, you got cycles of situations where the queen kind of begins their quandaries or questions about the situation, and then the servant has theirs in regards to it as well. And it's the conversation between the two developing the story as time goes on throughout the this intimate relationship, which I think is a really good descriptor. It's very astute to kind of what this is, because it requires at least from my experience reading this, it feels like it requires both people playing to be invested in having that conversation. Because there are no roles or anything to guide you through it, so it can really go any direction, which is super cool. Seems like lots of fun. You can also check out Mitchell Daly's other stuff at mitchelldaly.itch.io, which is in the bottom of the book. The front page of the book, too, even if just looking through that, has got links to everybody's Twitters and Twitches or Twitters and itches, to find everybody's games. So it's just got tons of artists to dig through. Doreen, your game, Unreality and Strictness, is simultaneously as fascinating from an intimate one-person-to-one-person kind of game. Tell me about it.
Okay, so first, James Chip, a couple of months ago at this point, he did a 2-stats generator online powered by NeoCities, and for funsies, I thought I'd just click on it and see what my 2 stats were, and they were Unreality and Strictness, and I was all like, oh, I think I can make a game out of this. Then when Ash, the guy behind Longtail Games and Cardboard Monster, who organized the Tiny Tome jam, put out a call for submissions, I was all like, okay, I think this is my impetus to actually sit down and write this game. The game itself, because of the whole unreality strictness, is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the term paracosm, but it's like where you have a sort of a shared, it's like a lot of adolescence. It's where the first known use of the word paracosm was by the Bronte siblings when they built their own fantasy world inside their heads and like sort of lived in it. And I don't know if any of you did the same kind of thing as adolescents with your friends.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. It wasn't just me. But this was partly inspired by that, but also by the fact that I went to this really terrible boarding school for the last 2 years of my high school experience. And one of the ways that I managed to survive, I feel, with my personality intact, was by being able to go in my mind to that other dimension of my paracosm. And I figured when I was working on this game that I wanted to be able to put it into a sort of mechanic that people could play and sort of explore that if they had ever been in a similar situation or wanted to see what it was like. I know, does that sound strange?
No, in fact, what I was looking at through this, too, is it is evocative of one of the most unique games that I've ever played, which is Necronautilus, which I get that they are not the same thing. If anybody's familiar with it, Necronautilus is a kind of artistically metal-inspired game based on wordplay as a mechanic, where you literally pick the words that you want to use and apply as abilities, and then you're rolling against the value of those words to activate them, but the power that you may use is dependent on your interpretation of the word at the time. Unreality and Strictness puts each person, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is what I'm gathering just having read it, putting two basically sundered or paralleled versions of the same self in alternate realities, one of which devoid of this chaotic unreality, and one of which is entirely stringent. And when they kind of connect with each other, these two individuals can use the other person's benefit to navigate their own kind of multiplanar oubliette, almost. That you end up deciding and narrating how you want to do it, how you want to get out of this place in any fashion that you would like, as long as it falls under that word's definition. And unreality is so bizarrely vast, and strictness is so general as well, that it's like one person's playing with circles and one person's playing with squares, but we don't care what you do with them. And juggling the value point back over the top of each other is such a neat concept. I really want to play it with somebody, because like it is very kind of metaphysical in idea, and it's fascinating to me.
It's like, you get it. I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
no,
it's like,
it conveys
didn't
that
know
very, very well. I understood the whole thing throughout it. I know you were having some hesitations on having a chat and I'm going to out that a little bit, because there was a conversation we had in the intermission just before this, where you look back on a game that you've written, especially one-page games, and you wonder if everything is there in order to be able to grasp what you've written for somebody from the outside. But if you're happy clapping on my definition, I would say you did a pretty damn good job in creating an abstract world that gives you a lot of room to play.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, this book is super cool, kind of broadening from those two games, in that it goes from solo RPGs to one-on-one RPGs, which there are a number of, one of which is a super fun kind of intimate relationship conversation between a what is Mothman? A cryptid, like a cryptid version of like Batman and Catwoman trying to navigate the existence of real life as a relationship, and how that pulls and strains on each other. That reading everything in comparison between solo to double or to like paired RPGs, one-on-one, to GM-less games where everybody's cooperating with the same thing, to a hybridized version that I do want to touch on in just a second, to like full traditional, like a GM and then players like we saw with Numbskulls. You really kind of see an evolution of the kind of there almost seems to be a tone shift kind of across all of those in a wave, where I see these one-on-one games being a lot more intimate than I anticipated, even for just a one-page game. Like, they're very, very close, very, very personal spaces to play in. And then you get the big ones where everybody can kind of goof off and have this good time. But even the funny ones, like the cryptid relationship between Batman and Catwoman in this sense, has this underlying nugget of like, this is almost team building for two best friends or like a couple or something, and both your games have that same feel to them, where you're really digging into just the nitty-gritty of a tiny interpersonal space, and I love those. And this book is full of a bunch of them. I just rambled for a whole good bit. Does anybody else have any thoughts before I move on to my next thought? Because I'm very excited about this book.
I know that like a Batman Goes Down was actually started as a joke based on the little Twitter kerfuffle over Batman's over the appropriateness of Batman's relations with Catwoman, but it definitely evolved into something that was really deep and meaningful on the page as the designer was creating it. I also thought it was pretty cool how both Mitchell and I have fairly serious games, so to speak, but we got a chance to play Numbskulls to show off a greater range of what Tiny Tome has, because it's got a really great bunch of fun multiplayer games and, and thoughtful solo games, and anybody who gets a copy is going to find that it is amazing value if you like to try out new games, sometimes by yourself, and if you can find a group to do it with, so much the better.
Mm-hmm. Even just having them all on hand is wonderful, because eventually you will find a person with the variety that's in here that something's going to stick, and that's very, very cool. Okay, next question, and this is going to open up the floor a little bit. I want to know, because I asked everybody to kind of review over the book prior, I want to know everybody's favorite game from what they read. Maybe not favorite. I don't want you to pick out like this is better than everybody else's, but like which one sticks out to you that you would like to talk about, because there's a lot in here.
Yeah, I mean, don't make me pick a favorite. I still talk to all these people, so we're all on the same Discord servers. But one that stood out to me immediately, I think when I was first like going through all the like submitted games and rating them, I was like, I said out loud to whoever's supposed to, like, oh, this one's good, was Freedom or Toaster. And the thing, it has a lot of like, it's a kind of like a Blade Runner, but you're the androids a little bit. The designer might hate that description.
It's
but,
like Blade
that's
Runner
kind of,
Chicken Run.
yeah.
It's-
But there's a bit there where you have to incorporate like a sound into your dialogue as your character, like buzz, bring, blip, beep, bleep, or woo, and you have to make it sound natural as you go. And if the GM's like, that didn't sound natural, you like your suspicion goes up, and you get a little bit closer to being turned into a toaster. And that one also it's a little bit more on the like, it has some like good like traditional things in there. So like new groups who have played role playing games, I think would find it an easy one to pick up. But that little twist to show you like just all the other role playing opportunities that are out there.
Yeah, the mechanics. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was fully prepared to play that game and just add a woo at the end of everything, like a really excitable yoga mom. So
Good stuff. No, I was just gonna say, on top of like the themes in here, that is a good thing to point out. The variety in mechanical structure is intense for the amount of games there are. You know, there's a little bit of overlap between certain games as far as like more traditional feeling dice rolling, but everything seems to have its own unique way to play that just streamlines the feel of the game a little bit more, which just, I mean, that shows good writing in general from the whole group that was picked for that. Nif, which game stood out to you the most? What do you want to talk about?
When we were going through, I was like, ooh, numbskulls, immediately like focused in on it. But then also this one called Soap, which is just soap opera dramatics, just looked really zany and really funny to play with people that you just met. Like, it feels very much like, okay, this is where you cannot take yourself seriously, but you can be super dramatic if you want to. Like, it's a telenovela. And so it's really cool because it's got like on camera scenes and then off camera scenes. So it's like you get different rewards almost for playing in those areas and stuff. And so I just really liked the concept of that, and how like there are sponsor demands for like, oh, you need more morality or less morality is what the different ideas are given. So it's just like, okay, that's a really fun concept too, because no one really like goes into most RPGs being like, let's make this as dramatic and not reasonable as possible. And this is like, here's the concept, go. And almost everyone knows that concept of like, be over the top. You're your own aunt. Like, that everyone knows that's the brand you're going for if you're trying to play a soap opera RPG. And so it's just cool. I like it.
No, it's good. It's worth noting because I actually wanted to touch on that one specifically because there are sections in there when you talk about like there's on-camera scenes and off-camera scenes. It encourages you because each scene requires certain amounts of like characters to be on stage in big groups to have this. It's almost like a semi-competitive RPG as opposed to being a fully collaborative RPG because it's asking you to sabotage another actor's experience so that you get more screen time and you know, get these rewards. So it's almost a party game as much as it is an RPG, and I appreciate that about it too.
Yeah.
It's rad.
And I think you start with like relationship ties of like, oh, that's your rival or that's your connection or whatever. So it lets you kind of work that out with people you're playing with too, of like, oh, let's play, you know, paparazzi and stuff. So it's very cool.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Doreen, what are you feeling?
Well, we actually voted for what games we thought should make it into the final volume, because there were over 100 or so entries, right, Mitchell? Yeah, and Soap was my very first vote because I was like, this is amazing. I also like the fact that you're basically playing the role of somebody who's playing the role of somebody. So, you know, so you can be like as, you know, conniving backstage as you want, and then on screen you're a complete angel. Or, you know, or you could be the mad inventor on screen and then backstage be like a completely morally upright person. But it's such a great game. So I was really excited about that.
Fantastic. I can't have double ups though, because I want to get through at least a number of these.
Oh,
no, I love
sorry.
the extra comments. No, please. But throw down for a second one.
I actually just helped. Proofread Symbiosis. I'm a big fan of that one. It's first of all, it's one of the most arresting visually games there. It is printed so that one side of the book faces a person sitting on one side of the table, and the other side is upside down so that it faces the person on the other side of the table. It's a 2-player game where you play a host and a parasite living in symbiosis and taking over. And learning to live and thrive together. Though despite the fact that the original host body is failing, and that's represented by a tumbling block tower that you pull from and describe what is happening and how the parasite sort of steps up. There are also optional rules for linking your body closer together over the course of the game. So you can start by linking pinkies and then another finger, and until you get really up close and personal. This is clearly a game that you play with someone you're very comfortable with. There are also additional rules where you write a short word or pictogram to express your emotions as the parasite for what is happening. So you can write wow or love or just a little heart or a lightning bolt on a body part if both players are comfortable with that, of course. It's intimate. It's an RPG that's intimate not only emotionally and mentally but also physically, which is not something that you often see in non-romance RPGs. So that's a favorite of mine. And also I helped her with it, so.
That's super cool. Who wrote that? I didn't...
Angela, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. She's French. She's lovely. If she's watching, hello. Angela Kidam, I think.
That's super cool. I didn't manage to get through the whole of Symbiosis, but that is really neat. Because, that does change, tonally, that does very much change why the relationship between the one-on-one is intimate, but still makes it very much a close group, and I love that. I've got a couple folks who might actually buy into that, so that's exciting. I don't have too many friends at home that like to play in real life all of the various RPGs that I have, so this is... I like having this collection of one-on-ones, so I don't have to get a whole group who wants to buy into it. Megan, what are you thinking as far as what stuck out to you in the book?
Favorites? I mean, we've all sounded off about, so we get it. It's amazing. We all want to invest in it, and to that one that you mentioned, Doreen, absolutely stunning. That sounds amazing, and I will definitely be putting it on my list. But I have to say, out of all of them, one did stick out to me, and that was Improvito. So that is a storytelling game to practice improvisation in collaborative storytelling and the use of the X card and similar collaboration tools. I think that this is really important, predominantly because we have talks all the time, literally all the time, about mechanics and different structures that are built up around games. But I think something that I've really valued in my tabletop RPG experience is being able to connect with people on a table and being able to tell a story and being able to tell a story safely. And having a look at this, I think that it really helps build the foundational skills for tabletop RPG players in terms of bouncing off of each other and seeing what works and seeing if we throw out a story hook and maybe it doesn't catch, what can we do that's tangential but still works. I think that putting something like Improvito out into the wild to sort of give to players and let them experiment, let them play around with it, really helps develop their skills in not only engaging with their friends but engaging with other people, and that's really cool to me.
That's fantastic. Honestly, I don't know that I had read that one at all, because that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I was just going to say, conceptually, I really enjoy the fact that there are some games in here, and now that you mention it, I think there's a couple that I would love to touch on kind of in the same regard. Maybe not quite the same, but things like Wishmasters and You Are Dead specifically kind of fall into this learning space of just developing stories for the sake of stories, connecting to prompts and asking questions across the table and developing improvisational skills based on what is present there. Even Mitchell's game kind of follows that same construct, where it's you could very easily use Where the Queen's Reign Knows No End as like a world-building tool for the beginning of a game. So smaller RPGs have this really interesting niche agnostic space of allowing creativity and creation of larger ideas for, things like a bigger campaign or a long-standing system. So I'm absolutely going to have to read through that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like, having a look at everything here, like there are so many amazing games sitting in this tiny tome. It is phenomenal. But I think like something especially, as you mentioned before, there may be some people around you that aren't really into the tabletop RPG space, and they don't know where to start, and they're thinking, oh, well, what sort of skills do I have to sort of get into this space? And I think that Improvito does a good job in setting out one particular skill set that comes in handy, and so that way tabletop RPGs become more accessible to more people, because it's like, hey, for this particular game, you only have to focus on this one thing, which is riffing off of other people's story hooks. What do you add to the scene? What do you take away? When do you need to step back? How do you adapt to somebody changing something that you put out there? And then, with other interactions with other indie RPGs, you can build that skill set, and it helps bring more people into the community, and that's always a plus.
I love that.
Sorry.
I
also think that, that's okay. I also think that Improvito is really helpful for like older school gamers who aren't because safety tools are quite new. And for those of us who've been doing this for decades, it's like, what is this? What do I need to do? And the gamification of safety tools just makes it so much easier to understand for people who are like, I just rolled D20s,
Yeah, no, that's such a good call out, Doreen. Like, really, it is amazing. But no, like, it is super helpful. As you said, bringing people who've been in the hobby for a long time but haven't seen how it's changed, to sort of bring them forward and say, hey, it's not a call out. We're not saying you're dropping anything. It's just a new element to what we do now. And that's fantastic, right? It's always an add-on. Like, we're never taking away from other people's experiences. We're not saying, hey, you've been in the hobby for 20 years, but you're alienated from it now. It's just like, no, hey, here's a new tool for your toolkit, and that's fine,
Yes, exactly. Because it's like, I know that there would definitely be tables where I'd be like, oh, I don't know how to bring this up to them, but then just having a game handy where if they wanted to, like, oh, it's not about stifling creativity, it's about making sure that everybody has input and a good time.
Absolutely. Turn it into a win all day, every day.
Yeah, that's superb. It's the kind of game that really, you could put before any system. It's almost a session zero, just to kind of get everybody warmed up. Make sure that everybody's on the same page, everybody kind of knows what, we're about. And that's just by itself invaluable. I think the one that I wanted to bring up, because it is one of the more unique as far as mechanics, but it's another kind of world building setup where it's more or less just questions back and forth. But it's called The Forgotten Ingredients. It's written lengthwise like a menu, but it is built off of the concept of the whole game takes place from the time you order to the time your food arrives while you're sitting at a diner or a restaurant or something. Very literally, you and your friends go out, you pocket 2 D6s, and then you play this game while you're waiting for your food. It's a good icebreaker, gets everybody involved in something, which is really neat to have a kind of an on-the-go RPG designed for that, because most games you kind of know are going to be designated to your home space. so this being written almost exclusively to take with you. But its mechanics are also designed around the food that you order. So it quite literally changes every time you play because it's based off of the ingredients that are present to whatever everybody is eating. Finding the most vital ingredient between all of those, and then taking that ingredient and building basically legend lore, or like fantastical lore about this ingredient and the journey that people had to go on for it, why it was so exotic, what made it really interesting, like, and all of this down the line until you get to your food. And it's like, can you finish this whole story and create something really interesting out of a very mundane experience out in a social setting before your food arrives? And from somebody who likes playing RPGs literally 24/7, the ability to me, my brain says I can force a buy-in from people there. I can go with my family and we can all go out to eat, and I can make people play games with me because they don't have anything else better to do. But it's a good introduction to kind of the concept behind RPGs and just storytelling too, in a very atypical way, which I appreciate so much. Everything in here is super good. I really want to play Idle Hands Make the Devil's Work. Being corporate employees for the devil itself in the hells, which sounds delightful.
The writer of that game just put up his development diary as an update on our Kickstarter page.
Ooh.
Ash has been posting updates as development diaries from each writer. I haven't written mine yet. Have you written yours, Mitchell? Because we're slackers.
Nope, not yet.
You got the slacker team over here. Sorry, Mads.
Nah, it works. It works. We got to hear from both sides. But no, it's like overall, because really we're just showcasing little tiny bits of stuff in collection this episode. So I don't know that I have much more to say unless you want me to list off all 50, but I'm not going to do that because I'd love for you to read through it yourselves and go back the Kickstarter. But out of 50 games, I think there were only 2 that I even had mild complaints with. It's incredibly well curated. It's incredibly well designed. I love the art. It's very colorful. It's very easy to read. There's a lot of variety in content, mechanics, themes, number of players required. Everybody who I have so far heard that has worked on the game is fantastic. Ash was a delight to talk to just, like, again, he sent me a copy of this just for the sake of it. Like, he never pressured me to actually write a review of it, but I would love, if I can do anything towards good RPGs, this is a good collection to have on your shelf, and it's still up for about a week, and it's worth checking out. Let me actually see if I can just drop the Kickstarter into the chat here, so that if you do not have it, you can go take a look at it. You can also find the link to it on my Twitter. I think it's the most recent thing that I tweeted, at JK Madigan. You can find me, but here is the actual page. Oh, rude. Cole, I'm going to fight you. Not letting me link stuff. Evidently, I'm not allowed to link stuff to my own show, so we'll figure that out later. But yeah, if you have the opportunity to go check it out, go grab the link from my Twitter. Just go to kickstarter.com and search Tiny Tome. 2 words, 4 letters apiece. Won't take any time. Worth backing, and it's up for another 7 to 8 days, depending on your time zone at this point.
You can get either a digital copy for about $6 American, and a physical copy is about $14. That's $14 before shipping. But it's I don't think there are any stretch goals, but it's really great value.
I actually wanted to point that out. I was floored when I read through the Kickstarter because there are no stretch goals, because everything is divided amongst the authors.
Yes, we just get paid more.
The more people back it, the more these fantastic folks get paid for the cool work that they did on the project, as does everybody else. And we've had several conversations on the top shelf about writers' wages in general, and that mechanic alone for a Kickstarter project just feels so like such a rewarding thing to put forward to.
Ash is pretty great. He also ran the Tiny Library Kickstarter, which you can add as an add-on to this, which is a box of 50 business card-sized RPG. Oh, yay! And Mitchell just held up his copy. I'm still waiting on mine.
I know, I'm still
Yes,
waiting on
absolutely.
mine too.
Sound off. Let's go. Let's go.
and it was just so great getting. He sends out the royalties quarterly. It's very nice. And I'm just very excited about being able to participate in Tiny Tome in addition to Tiny Library. So buy our stuff, please.
Yeah. He's
I like money.
yeah, very transparent. It's been really good. He's other stuff that he's put out through Longtail and Cardboard Monster have been really good. And yeah, Tiny Library is coming out.
Oh, I'm so excited for Tiny Library. When I saw that originally post, that was the whole reason I reached out to Ash to be like, hey, if you want to send. If I'm here, because he put out a post like asking if anybody wanted to take a look over it, and he actually got back to me. But that's Tiny Library is the reason that I was interested in Tiny Tome, and it is just as cool in quality. Also, 14 American bucks for not including shipping is a steal for the amount of content. And like, mind you, I think do they have Longtail Games has U.S. distributors? Yes, or is it all coming from Australia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He has distributors in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, and does he have one in the UK and one in the European Union?
I think so.
I know he has at least one in the UK. I'm not sure about the EU, but check out our Kickstarter page for more details.
Yeah, all the better for everybody. But it's worth grabbing. I think at this point we'll go ahead and start to wrap. Hopefully you have heard more than enough to get you interested. And I don't want to ramble all night. I'm trying to be better about being a little bit more concise on my own show. But we'll go ahead and take care of outros from everybody. Feel free to plug a couple of the things that you're most excited about, or coming up in the future for you, or things you'd like to go check out on your itch if you've got one. Whatever you would like, as well as where people can find you, and then we will sign off for the evening. Let's go in reverse order this time and get both of our fantastic guests on. Start us off. Mitchell, do you want to kick off our outros?
Yeah, sure. I've been Mitchell Daly. You can find me at Mitchell Daly on Twitter, and I'm also mitchelldaly.itch.io is where you can find some of my games, including Hot Shots, which is a Starfighter kind of OSR adjacent game, so very different from what I put into Tiny Tome. And I'll be putting out soon a game called AOC, which uses the 3D 6D system that Lucky New created, who's also a designer in the tome.
Yeah, I saw that system. You mentioned it. I'm like, hey, I just read something on that. Super cool. Doreen, where can we find you? What are you excited for?
You can find me at Valeris at itch.itch.io. Is that how that works? Okay, sorry. My brain just blanked. I'm also on Twitter, Linktree. I'm very excited about the fact that I just successfully kickstarted my first big campaign for my role-playing game, Equinox. Thank you. I'm working through the backer kit right now, and this has probably been the most complicated part of the process so far, is the backer kit. But hopefully I'll be able to open it up to pre-orders soon. I also have finished development on a new game that I'm hoping to launch after that. It is based on the Carta system, but I'm unfortunately at the point where I'm all like, could I just print this out on playing cards and, just do a card game instead of just a RPG zine? So that's something that I have in development right now. I'm also, if you enjoyed Numbskulls by Caden Ramstack, they've just put in a brilliant new game about a tea shop a tea shelf in the coffee and tea jam that I'm running on itch.io. It is open for submissions until the end of the month. It is very chill, very no pressure, no crunch, just, make a game based on coffee or tea and throw it in and let some eyeballs see it over on itch. And yeah, hopefully we'll see some of you either taking a look or joining in if you want.
Love it. Meg, talk to us.
Howdy hey and hi, name is Megan or RPG_Megs on all the platforms that matter. I'm working on writing up a campaign for a fabulous RPG written by Keegan.exe called Fanta. So I'm churning that out. It's taken a lot longer than I originally anticipated, mostly due to life admin stuff. But I'm hoping to release that within the next month. It should be pretty cool. And in the meantime, I'm absolutely, Doreen, checking out all things tea related because that sounds amazing. Really, it's stunning. But yeah, RPG_Megs if you want to check that out at some point.
And that leaves us with Nifer.
Hi, everybody. I'm still Nifer everywhere. I don't have the attention span to write or finish a game, so I probably not ever going to put content out. But I am in a couple of actual plays and podcasts, so I will promote all those on my social media, which is Nifer everywhere. Usually Twitter and hanging around Discord. So come see me in TPK on this channel on Thursdays and Fridays. We do our Tyranny of Dragons campaign and our Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign, which I'm in both of those, and they are super exciting. So, yeah,
Yep.
that's where I mostly am.
And I can mirror that too. Both of those campaigns are absolutely delightful. The whole cast is wonderful, Nifer included. And I'm always happy to have Meg on this show. It's always a delight. Both of you, thank you again. And for everybody watching, I am your host, Mads. I run the Top Shelf every other Saturday, where we play a different tabletop RPG game and then have a chat about it, ideally with the author on stream. So super lucky to have two today. But you can catch me at JK Madigan on Twitter, as well as most other social medias. And then check out the TPK Roleplay Discord. Join that. Check them out on Twitter. You can find me hanging out there. If you ever have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord if you ever want to chat RPGs. And then jkmadigan.itch.io. I've got 4 games out right now. I've got 2 new games. And then a supplement for another fantastic folks game in process right now, one of which I'm hoping to have done and submitted out into the world this week, so keep an eye on my Twitter for that. And for anybody who asked, or for anybody who saw my post on Twitter about cat names and everybody's pets' cats' names, that is the reason. So you should see a cat-related game hit my itch here shortly. But keep an eye out over the course of the next year, and there should be a bunch of new stuff coming. And then next week, or not next week, but the week following, which will be April 2nd, we are playing Justicar on the Top Shelf. We wanted to get it taken care of 2 weeks ago, but I was unfortunately ill. So we had it all rescheduled, and we're having a second go at Justice in a fantastic improvisational courtroom tabletop RPG. So if that interests you, or if anything else that I does interest you, stick around every other Saturday. We've also got litanies of shows on TPK Roleplay. Go to the website or the Discord, check out our calendar. It's filled. Like, we have games and different content every day, pretty much. But I love you all. I appreciate you sticking around and watching and hearing me ramble, and we will talk to you in the next episode. Take care.